What's up, everybody? It is Kimmy Coco, your host of Innovative Black Stations, Connecting the Dots podcast. And we are back here again to talk to you guys. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody is getting used to, our new normal that we have going on here. We social distancing and wearing your mask. Since we last spoke, a few states have mandated wearing masks. And there were quite a few things that have changed since, maybe not since we last spoke, but since the protests have been going on ever since the murder of George Floyd. So there's been a lot going on around the country. Every state, all 50 states, this is the first time that all 50 states have had protests going on simultaneously. And so you are witnessing right now a movement that hasn't been seen in this country since the civil rights movement, and the civil rights movement wasn't even this big because they didn't have as many protests and rallies going on in all 50 states. So we were talking the other day about how many things have changed since. Now, there's been some statues, some monuments that have come down. There's been some names. The Dixie Chicks have changed their name to just the Chicks. Lady Antebellum, that's another country group. They're changing their name. So the Redskins are now, they haven't said that they're going to change the name because the owner, apparently, I've heard, is adamant about not changing the name. On the contrary, he's been saying over the years that he didn't think it was necessary. But now they're thinking about changing the name of the Redskins. Last night in Baltimore, protesters tore down a statue of Christopher Columbus and they threw it in the river. There's been statues of Robert E. Lee that have come down all over the country. There are statues of a few Confederate generals and Confederate figures that have come down all over the country. And people are pushing back, saying that they really don't want that. There are some people that are saying, it's a part of their heritage. They don't want to see these things happening. We all know the NFL has given their apologies. Well, Roger Goodell has given his apologies for saying that he didn't want the players protest, and he now says that he will participate in the protests that go on. What else is going on? There's been, the NBA said that now players can have a protest message, whatever message they want, on the back of their jersey on top of their number, I guess where their name would be. Minneapolis banned the use of chokeholds. Washington, D.C., Chicago, and Denver have also done that since the protest. A few school systems in this country have said that they are not going to continue to use the city police in their city as guards in their schools. So a lot of police departments around the country they're going to take away some of their money. So I've seen some ads going on, and I've seen some conversations on Twitter and on Facebook. And what people are asking for is to defund the police, right? Some people are asking for them to get rid of the police department altogether, but really what people want is to defund the police. If you have not noticed, and I always say if you pay attention, God tells you all you need to know. So we saw for months and months and months the doctors, the nurses, and the hospitals around this country not being able to deal with coronavirus because they hadn't had enough PPE, they didn't have enough ventilators, so all the city money, right, goes from a pot, and some of that funds the police department, some of that funds the hospital, some of that, it's like, that's how it is. So if we didn't notice that the doctors and hospitals didn't have PPE, but as soon as these protests started, the cops show up and they got shields, masks, they got all sorts of shit that they probably won't use as much as a doctor. So what people are saying is, listen, do they really need tanks? Do they need shield? Do they need all this shit? Do they need to have these police officers that aren't really trained and skilled to deal with, say, somebody with mental illness? Like, it just seems like They run down on you with a gun. There's no de-escalation process. It's just all out aggression that we're seeing from these police officers. And what people are saying is defund them. Don't give them all this money for all this high-power artillery. Break it down. Train some of them to de-escalate. Give money to another part. Create a part of the police department that maybe has somebody that's a psychologist or a social worker that can, de-escalate situations. Because a lot of these people that the cops are killing, sometimes they show up, and it's really a mental health issue and not a criminal issue. But it becomes a criminal issue because that person gets arrested, right? Okay. So, Walmart stopped selling guns, and they also stopped locking up black hair care products. Because if you go to Walmart, the black beauty products are behind, Right. Physicians have come out and condemned racism because what the argument is that, black women are extra, they're not as sick as they think they are, so they don't get the same care as maybe somebody else. So physicians have come out and denounced racism. The American Academy of Pediatrics, American Medical Association have all declared racism a public health crisis. Juneteenth became a paid holiday. I think the NFL, the NBA, are paying them for that day off. A lot of companies are giving people half days and day offs. That's a great thing. People started learning what Juneteenth was. It was the day the last of the slaves that did not know they were free found out they were free. Like, the Emancipation Proclamation got signed. The slaves were told that they were free, but they really weren't free because they still had to go somewhere that had already been declared a free state to acquire that freedom. But the slaves in Texas, they didn't know that people were free yet. So finally they got to Texas to let them know, and they arrived on Galveston Island, and the rest is history on Juneteenth. So that's why we celebrate Juneteenth as the official end of slavery, which it was already ended. If you lived everywhere else, you knew that. But in Texas, they didn't know. Some leaders resigned. Some CEOs and prominent heads of businesses stepped down after claims of racism and toxic company culture. After several black writers revealed their experiences with racism, women's website Refinery 29, the editor-in-chief stepped down. CrossFit CEO Greg Glassman resigned after comments he made about Black Lives Matter movement. Audrey Gelman, CEO of the Women's Social Club co-working community, The Wing, resigned too. HBO removed Gone with the Wind. I think it's back now, but if you know the history behind Gone with the Wind, you know that it's like a Civil War, Confederate South, romanticized film about the old days of Dixie, and it just makes it seem like it was so beautiful and glamorous, and that they took that off. NASCAR banned the Confederate flag, and then subsequently Bubba Wallace, something with the noose, and then it wasn't a noose. It was a noose. It's been there all this time. I don't know, but NASCAR is notoriously racist. People come there with the Confederate flag all the time. Bubba Wallace is apparently the only black person, only black driver. Is that true? I don't know. I don't watch NASCAR. I don't be bothered with none of it. When I see it, I turn the channel. But the fact that there's one black driver tells you a lot. Just like there's one or two black country musicians, period.
I got a devil's advocate question. Now, the people, do you feel like the people, how can I word the question? Do you feel like a lot of people, like they carrying that or raising that Confederate flag and know exactly what it means?
Absolutely.
Do you think so?
Yes. Why wouldn't they?
I say that because even like us, like people, we celebrate shit and we don't even know the meaning behind it.
Well, considering that we are in a Confederate state and it was taught in school and they have people that hold that legacy up, I'm sure it was taught to them. Was it taught to them factually? I don't think so. I mean, they came from a different perspective maybe. But I think the fact that they know that it bothers people drives them to do it even more. Because it's a law. It was really the lost cause, right? The Confederate Army lost the war, so it's like, what are you celebrating? But because they wanted to hold on to that way of life, and they romanticized it, and they erected all these monuments as a sort of an intimidation factor, and they carry that flag as an intimidation factor, it's like, what are y'all doing? We know what you're doing. You're trying to be like. That's what I think. I mean, every time I see one, it makes me cringe.
Yeah, I've never personally, I've never been intimidated by that flag. Like, you know me, you know how I am. I let people live in their bubble. Like, if you a racist, bro, I don't give a fuck. Just don't disrespect me. You feel me? But I can't get mad at how you was raised.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. No, I get it. I get it. I get that that's what people told you. Mm-hmm. I get that that's a part of your heritage. Okay. But as far as my people are concerned, that wasn't a good time for us. And what the Civil War meant was the southern states were trying to hold on to slavery, and to different degrees, right? I mean, each state put in place, after the Civil War, they had the black codes, and after this black codes, they had the Jim Crow laws. Like, systematically, they have tried to continue to keep black people under some form of slavery.
And that's why, even when I was saying on Thursday, like, I like the symbolism being taken down and then kind of being replaced with the black things, just for the simple fact that when those symbols was, like, those monuments was up, like, a lot of those monuments, they got the history behind it. So people are able to learn who this person is, what their history is.
But the history
hold on. But I feel like if black stuff start getting put up, we get to learn our history now, because all those facts will be up there. And I think that's really been the biggest problem. Like, fuck what all them other white people doing. Like, we just don't know our history. So we just kind of moving, just scrambling around. Like, even when we just talking, like, people still celebrating the 4th of July. When just, you feel me? When I feel like this year really, the majority of the people learned what Juneteenth was.
Absolutely.
Like, we just celebrated Juneteenth, and then you're going to turn around and celebrate. So you really don't understand what Juneteenth is about. You still don't understand it. So I agree with the symbolism. Like I was saying on the phone, I thought it would be more of, like, we moving in the same direction they was, you know, and we following the same thing that they did, but
I don't see where they're replacing them with black stuff. I mean, they could at some places.
But I think the example I'm thinking about is like the Black Lives Matter on the roads in different cities. Mm-hmm. That symbolism is there. A kid 20 years from now, if it's still there 20 years from now, a kid gonna be like, why does this say Black Lives Matter? And then bam, it's gonna lead to, this is why this was going on during this, and it's gonna lead to those conversations.
Absolutely.
I think it's a start. You know, my suggestion is to, again, all the places they got burned, make them black monuments.
So, down at the Wendy's where Rashard Brooks was killed, they have people and his family and his friends, and people want that Wendy's to be turned into a community center. Follow us on Instagram at CTD_ATL, and you'll see I had a conversation with a young man, and they were saying that that's what they want to propose to the city, that they make it a place where people could come talk and conversate about what happened there and why. And, just...
I think we should make it a museum. You feel me? I was looking up, I'm about to pull it up. I was looking up somewhere, and they got all the states, but I just focused on Georgia. So I was looking at the black monuments that's here. So the AUC, which is Morehouse, Spelman, Clark, of course the Martin Luther King District, and Sweet Auburn. That's the only, in Atlanta anyway. Those are the only black monuments in Atlanta, and this is a black city. And it's all in this, within a 5-mile radius?
Yeah, it's like downtown.
That's crazy. That's crazy, but I definitely feel like,
And I think that, I think you're right. I think they need more, of course. And I think that African Americans have gotten into the role of martyrdom. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see these Confederate statues, you see these flags, you know that that's what they do, you know that's why they do it, and you're just like, yeah, that's just how it is, we are in the South. Like, we kind of fell into the role of being like, the young Negro spiritual, like the old Negro spirituals, like I'm just working on the red, like that. We are. I don't know, like when you say erect the new monuments, blah, blah, blah. And Terry Crews recently on Twitter and said something like, if we don't be careful, we replace this stuff with white supremacy, and then all of a sudden it becomes black supremacy, and like, what did we really do? And I think that that's ridiculous, and I think that Black Lives Matter, and I heard a comedian say that, like, we just want to matter. Like, we're coming to the table of negotiation with the bare minimum request that we matter, like just matter, like.
And I understand that. I understand it completely, but why we gotta ask permission to matter?
I don't like it. I don't say it. I don't do it.
No,
like,
I get it. No, I get the movement, but I'm saying, like, it's like we pleading to somebody for us to matter.
You don't have to do that.
It's just like you asking me to I guess to reassure you that you matter to yourself. Like, that don't make sense to me. Like,
no,
why
it doesn't.
And then another thing, like, even to the point of with the different monuments and shit, like, we asking somebody else to make monuments for us. Like, why we buy restaurants? Why not buy a building and turn it into a museum? Like, I feel like I'm all about.
Well,
like, we have to take control. Like, we can't just be victims. We can't just always ask for shit. We have to take action. We have to be proactive.
I agree.
We keep asking a system that's for years
shown us
they don't fuck with us, and we continue to. It's just like going back to a bad relationship. You keep giving them chance after chance after chance after chance. In a relationship, the motherfucker might buy you a gift, so now you come back. It's just little shit. Then you gonna keep. It's the same shit. All these little things they doing. These are like little gifts. Oh, here. They doing everything but what we asking. You feel me? So it's just like, man, we have to take
I think
control.
that's another thing that we need to look at. We need to look at the fact that they're doing stuff that we didn't ask them to do. So, wow, you guys knew that this was wrong, and you were doing it for all this time. And so your guilt is making you voluntarily give up the Aunt Jemima box. It's giving you, like, you're just doing stuff that no one asked for because you know deep down inside that it was wrong. So now your guilt is coming out. Because we didn't ask for you to change. We pointed out the fact that Aunt Jemima was a caricature of an old woman that was cooking, and y'all used to take advantage and make fun of the fact that these people were doing what they were doing. So now you just voluntarily want to change that?
I think the reason that they moving, I guess you could say they moving slow, or they not doing exactly what we want to do.
They're waiting for the momentum to die down.
But they just trying to see how serious we are, like. Cause a lot of times when you get something, when we get small victories, we good with it. Just like I was saying, the cookout shit. Whenever somebody do some shit for us, or whenever somebody do some shit cool, they welcome to the cookout. Like, that's what they doing. Let's give them this. Let's see if this work. And the more we continue to press the issue, the more I feel like a change is coming. Cause
yeah, absolutely.
The more we keep pressing the issue, the more things gonna keep getting changed. Just like you just named a whole bunch of shit that got changed. So we just got to keep pressing the issue. We can't settle for. That's not good enough.
The Confederate General Stonewall Jackson statue in Richmond, Virginia, which is one of the places of a battle of the Civil War, his statue was torn down July 1st. In Frankfort, Kentucky, a statue of Jefferson Davis was removed from the rotunda of the Capitol building. A statue of Jefferson Davis was taken away from the state capitol in Frankfort, Kentucky. They are going to take down a Confederate statue of General J.E.B. Stuart. In Richmond, Virginia, the protesters tried to take it down themselves, and it didn't work, but they are working on that. There was a statue of Charles Lynn. He was in the Confederate Navy in Birmingham, Alabama. They took that down. The head of Christopher Columbus was pulled off in Boston on that statue in June 10th. In Raleigh, North Carolina, they took a statue of a Confederate soldier down, and they hung it from a light pole. Another Confederate soldier in Raleigh, statue in Raleigh, North Carolina, was taken down on June 21st after protesters took it down. Jefferson Davis was toppled by protesters. There must be a lot of these in Richmond, Virginia. You know, there's so many in Georgia. There's one on my street corner. It's the little sign, and it says, hey, this is where the Civil War trail is in your neighborhood. And I mean, it's like Georgia is just one big old Confederate monument upon in itself. Protesters, of course, have asked that they remove the Confederate monument, which is the largest, I think, in Stone Mountain.
They said it's gonna be hard,
but you can't. Like, how do you?
It's in the wall.
You cannot. Right. Like, they want to. Well, they really don't want to, but they're saying, and if we did, how would that happen? Because it might be too hard to sandblast it. Or whatever. I mean, the only thing you might be able to do is cover it up. I've never seen it. I've seen pictures of it. I've never been there. I refuse to go there.
Did you see yesterday? A lot of black people went out there and was
yeah, I saw that. Over. The only people I saw, and this is the thing, when you're laser focused on one narrative, anything that feeds that narrative is news to you.
Exactly.
So I've not seen where the KKK announced that they were going to start shooting black people on July 4th. I saw one black man say that.
I did see that narrative running around.
I saw one guy that may be a credible source, that he maybe have gotten it from a credible source. I don't know. I saw one guy say that, and then the rest of the people I saw say that are all people that always push that narrative, that always push the fact that there's going to be, and it's never from, like, you hear one person say it that might be credible, and then the rest of it are the people that just always thought that anyway, so they're going to say, well, I heard, I don't know how credible this source is. Somebody keeps inboxing me stuff. You know, they like to share, and I ask people to share stuff with us so we can talk about it. If you feel like there's a story that you want us to break down, or if you want to get involved, we encourage that. But some people send me stuff, and I'm just like, did this look right to you? I'm not posting that. Like, somebody sent me a video, and they were like, oh, have you seen this? And it was an altercation somebody was having with a cop. And my first question is, when was this? And where was this? Because if it was 2 years ago, where have you been? And why now all of a sudden you're pulling all these old police? Like, if you know what I mean? Like, I get people are just now waking up. People are just now starting to pay attention. But there are some people, for example, us, we've been posting a lot of these police stories for months, for years. So make sure that it's timely. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to bring new stuff up so we can go from where we're going from. Because, like, another thing that happened was they passed in Georgia the hate crime bill. And so if the crime has something to do with race, religion, sexual orientation, color, creed, if it does, then they can add extra time to your sentence. So all this stuff is getting pulled down. You know, you can pull down the monuments. Can you pull down the mentality?
And that was my next question. Like, how do you feel? Like, what is this solve? I mean, it's solving something. It's solving something. It's not solving something in the immediate time, but in the future. Because, again, like I was saying, like, kids 20 years from now, they're not going to know that because it's not going to be there. Those monuments are not going to be there with the facts for them to read on that. Now, what they're teaching in school, that's another thing, but...
So this
is the shit I forgot that I learned in school. So
right, but I mean, it's easy to forget something if you don't have a constant reminder. These statues are in front of state buildings. These statues are in front of courthouses. So what is that saying to you? This is a statue of dedication to white supremacy. So what is that already telling you in your mind if you have to go to court? It's saying that the odds are stacked against you. It's intimidation. It's mental. So I'm all for taking them down. You know, and people are like, well, you don't want to forget your history or you're bound to repeat it. We're still in the history. We're still living. We have never gotten to the point. I mean, like I said, I know you guys, I told you to watch the Reconstruction show. I know nobody did, but you can go back and find it. It's a very, very good source of information. It's very entertaining, but it'll tell you where we are. Everybody's like, you know, we not marching no more because, you know, that's what our parents did. It didn't get us nowhere. But yes, it did. How many laws got passed because of that? How many laws are getting passed now because of what we're doing now? How many things are changing? It's never going to end. This country was founded on free labor. And they continue to press. And I mean, even when we built our own stuff, Oklahoma City, New Orleans, North Carolina, these states all had thriving black communities. And what did they do? They tore it down. So it's like it's not something that you just, it's over. It's a constant thing. Like they say, pray without ceasing. You have to literally always stand on your ground firm and say, I am going to be treated equally, period. All of us have to do that, and we have to want that for each other. We have to want that for each other, and we have to make sure that we get it from and for each other. Those are just a few things that have changed, and we got to talk about, in the midst of all this, everybody's protesting, everybody's rallying, and it's all still going on through this pandemic. Like I said in the beginning of the show, a lot of the states are mandating masks now.
I think Ohio is one.
My mask is dirty, but it's not dirty. It has makeup on it. So don't think that I'm, just out here with a dirty mask. So this is a big old controversy. I'm going to get to some of the numbers in a minute. But why don't y'all want to wear masks? Like, why don't you want to wear masks?
I think it's just...
It's sad.
It's just people so used to a way of life.
Okay, well, it's changed now.
But I'm saying
because there's a
people
new
have to
virus.
adjust to that. That's what I'm saying. Like you can't just get mad at somebody because they're not doing what you want them to do. Like it's like people are adjusting to this. Like it's a new way of life. You feel me? Just like we talking about with the 4th. People are just so used to celebrating the 4th, so they're gonna continue to do it. It's a process. Look, what it's been 2-3 months. It's like man.
I mean, yeah, get used to it.
You just gotta like I said, you have to just be responsible for yourself.
You have to be responsible for yourself.
I'm not about to stress myself out about
you don't
what
have
people
to
are
stress
not
yourself out. I don't want you to stress yourself out, but I do want you to pay attention to why you're wearing the mask, and then it may be easier for you to adjust. So we talk. I'm talking to you. You're talking to me. And because I think coronavirus is not something that makes you break out, makes you itch. It doesn't show on your face. It doesn't show. You can have the virus in your body and not show any symptoms, but give it to somebody else that will show symptoms because their immune system is not as strong as yours. So you're just protecting everybody. And maybe because people are selfish, maybe because people are narcissistic. I don't know, but it's like people are really having a hard time. Like, I don't want you to get sick. You don't want me to get sick. We're protecting each other because we're wearing masks. But you know what I see? Yeah, I got it on, but see how you got yours on? What is that going to do?
We're 6 feet. We're not close to each other.
I'm just saying, not in a situation like this. I'm just saying, period. I see that all the time. Like, I go to the drive-thru. I pull up at the window. Now, we right in front of each other.
Well, let me ask you this.
They got their mask.
If you got your mask on, you good, though, right?
No. I'm protecting you right now because the spit is not, I'm talking to you. And you know how spit randomly comes out of your mouth? Not like spit, but just period from talking. So it's not going to come to you. You got yours on, it's not going to come to me. We're both good because we both got masks on. Now, I don't have my mask on. You got your mask on. Because you have on a surgical mask and not an N95 mask that has a thing right here, it could come out here, be in the air for a little while, and then I'm going to get it. But if I have mine, both of us, we're good. Even though you're far away from me, if it's in the air, if I breathe in enough of it, I'm going to get sick. But people, like you said, they're struggling. So now U.S. is ahead of everybody in the world because we opened up early. We did what we wanted to do. People don't want to. We need to make money. Now there's 2,789,678 cases. That's up 57,718 since yesterday. So now that these cases that we're getting now, the spike is from Memorial Day. Now we're gonna have another spike because of the 4th of July.
Is testing, is that available like it is here in all the countries?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, I don't know. You can't really compare us to other countries in that way.
I'm saying, like, we keep bringing that up, like, but we don't even know if they got tested over there.
I don't even care, to be honest with you, what they got over there, because.
But I'm saying, but people always bring up the narrative. Oh, the U.S. is.
Well, I mean,
more than this country. It's just
well,
like,
maybe
bro,
that stat is not.
Those stats are wrong. Those stats are skewed.
But I don't really care what's going on over there. Over here, there's over 2 million people with it. In Georgia, it's getting worse and worse every day. In Texas, it's getting worse and worse every day. In Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, all the states that don't mandate masks, is getting worse and worse and worse every day. And the positive amount is going up. So before, when people were getting tested, they had like a 9% rate of positivity. Now there's like a 25% rate of positivity, and the average age of the person getting it is between 18 and 39. So that changed when they opened up. Georgia, where are we? Has 93,319 cases, 2,857 people have died, and this is all from the beginning. It's a running total.
Is it running?
Yeah, it's a running total.
You said how many people died? 2,000?
2,000. Georgia, 2,857.
You said how many people? Like, what was the total number of people that got it? Before the
93,317.
93,317. And then how many people died?
2,857.
Damn, that's like 32%. So 32% of the people that get it. No, I did that wrong. What's the death toll again? 2,000.
857.
857. And then what's the total? 93?
Mm-hmm.
93. What was the rest? 93,000.
317.
So about 3%. 3% of the people that's catching it is dying from it. Mm-hmm. Which is crazy. That's a lot, but.
But between death and getting it is a whole.
Right.
You could be on a ventilator for 2 months. You could be coughing for 5 months. You could be there's a whole bunch of different symptoms. And I think not enough people maybe are understanding how contagious it is. I don't know, but people just, the club, the bar, the restaurant, that's the last place I would want to be. Right now, you cannot travel to New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut if you are in one of the states that has a COVID. New York travel advisory expands to 16 states. So if you're traveling to Connecticut, New Jersey, or New York, you may need to observe a 14-day self-quarantine. Most states in New England have similar 14-day policies to prevent the coronavirus spread. Governor Cuomo issued an executive order number 205 on June 24th, requiring a mandatory quarantine for those arriving from states with high infection rates. Here are the states: Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, California, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Idaho, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, Nevada, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Utah. The list can expand if other states exceed the 10% positivity rate. And we have done that, Georgia. So nobody's going to New York. You can, but you're supposed to self-quarantine. And I've never, ever believed in self-quarantine. But you can't make people wear masks. You're damn sure not going to make them stay at home. So we just out here. May the strong survive.
The people that don't care, they're not going to self-quarantine. But my thing is this, so basically, you're not taking a weekend trip to New York.
No. You can, yeah.
Oh, okay. So they're not imposing it because.
How do you enforce it?
That's what I'm saying. How
you didn't enforce it here. When they brought those people from those cruise ships to to Dobbins Air Force Base to self-quarantine. They quarantine those people. They're supposed to be there for 14 days. Kelly Loeffler got her private jet and came and got some of them. And they were doing all sorts of shit. And all of them were not there for 14 days. So we don't know what happened after that. Because we didn't know enough. Remember the governor said, we didn't know it was contagious. Are you fucking kidding me? You didn't know how contagious it was? I knew that, and I'm not the governor. I'm just the host of a podcast. Like, what do you mean? These are the people y'all elected, and now the states, Cuomo was on it. Lockdown, I don't give a fuck. We're not opening. Wear a mask. Stay home. Whatever. But now they're good. Now they can reopen safely, and they can go about their business. But see, down here in Georgia, y'all can't stay out the goddamn club. Y'all can't stay home for nothing. It's like you got to be out there.
That's why they gotta just close shit. Like, if shit open,
I mean, really? So y'all, and I'm not saying y'all, people general. Y'all need the government to tell y'all, like the government, the people that we don't
work. That's the mindset everybody, and that's the problem right there. Just like I was saying before with the monuments. Us as black people, we waiting for the government to give us what we want.
That's sad.
You feel me? The government is telling the government shut us down, then the government said it was open, and the shit ain't even get fixed. Like, people listen to the government for whatever reason. If the government say shit good, then that's what people listen to. And it's always been like that, not even just with this. So with the government having that much power, it's just like, man, like you say, people don't have that self-control. Everybody don't have self-control. So they need somebody to tell them what to do.
Well, let me tell you, since you need somebody to tell you what to do, y'all need this. This is not the time for the bars and the club. Like, I don't get it, but who am I? I wouldn't wait for the government. The government is about money. They don't care about your life. You gotta care more about your life than the government does. You don't mean shit to the government. You're just a number. You're a check. You're you know. All right. Back to what we were talking about before. LeBron James and other stars have formed a voting rights group. Did y'all hear about that? And the NBA is going to use Statefarm Arena here in Atlanta as
I didn't know that was through that initiative. I didn't know that was a part of, like, that came out of that initiative.
I don't know that it was
I can believe
either.
Because Trae Young from the Hawks,
he's going to be
there, so
one of the. Okay. LeBron James and a group of other prominent black athletes and entertainers are starting a new group aimed at protecting the African American voting rights, seizing the widespread fury against racial injustice. The organization, called More Than a Vote, will partly be aimed at inspiring African Americans to register and cast a ballot in November. But as the name of the group suggests, Mr. James and other current and former basketball stars, including Trae Young, Skylar Diggins-Smith, and Jalen Rose, will go well beyond traditional celebrity get-out-the-vote efforts. Mr. James, who's 35, said he would use his high-profile platform on social media to combat voter suppression and would be vocal about drawing attention to any attempts to restrict the franchise of racial minorities. Yes, we want you to go out and vote, but we also going to give you the tutorial, Mr. James said. So that organization represents his most significant foray yet into electoral politics. So shout out to LeBron, Trae Young, everybody involved in that. That is awesome. And like we said, you'll be able to vote if you live in Fulton County. That's it.
I was wondering about that too, because from my understanding, like, I remember last time I voted, you basically vote in your neighborhood. So that's basically like an open thing. Like,
it's for Fulton County.
So the whole Fulton County, because I know, like, Sandy Springs is Fulton County. So I'll be able to come all the way down to Sandy Springs and vote down here.
Let me see. Because I don't know. You live in North Fulton, right?
No, I don't live in Fulton, but I live in Cobb. But I know Sandy Springs is considered Fulton, and that's past us. That's past Cobb.
All right. The primary election, you can vote anywhere, I think. It's not the... So Georgia's primary election that was what we had the other day. So Statefarm Arena is a solution to help thousands of voters while maintaining social distancing because it's so big. So the ballots can start being cast at Statefarm Arena on July 20th. And that's when early voting starts for the Georgia runoff election in August 11th. Voters can park for free at State Farm Arena. They'll be trained on the election. So it's for the upcoming election. And I think, let me see where you can vote for the primary. Yep, it'll be, Fulton County announced that State Farm Arena will become a polling place to create Georgia's largest ever voting precinct. The venue's large indoor spaces. Okay, so yeah, Fulton County.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want people to go. They get down there, mess around and stand in line.
Well,
And
before
it's
you
like-
leave your house, check to see where you're
Right.
voting, where
But
your
you
poll
know,
is.
You know, some people don't do their research.
Well,
So while we
they
talking
need
about it,
to.
I just want to make sure we kind of give everybody like the heads up or have them answer, look for those questions, look for those answers. Before you get discouraged, you get down there, you can't vote, now you discouraged, you ain't voting at all. So that's my thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you have to live in Fulton County. So that counts me out. That counts me out. So because of COVID and because the United States is the largest, has the most cases, there's a travel ban. So Europe doesn't want us there. And I can't say I blame them. People are really trying to get this stuff under control. So as of July 1st, European nations, all members of the European Union, as well as the others, have put forth a travel ban if you are coming from the U.S. Let's wait for them to go by. So the EU recommends extend the restrictions of non-essential travel into the EU for U.S. and other high-risk countries. That means holidays in Europe for most people coming from America are out of the question. But the ban is based on residency, not citizenship. So if you're a citizen or not, it's about where you live. Travelers with essential function or need can travel, but I mean, unless you work there, I don't know if you really need to be going over there. An American residing permanently in one of the safe countries such as South Korea, Japan, or New Zealand should be welcome in the EU together with immediate family members. So, I mean, there's a lot of little caveats. But overall, we're getting a bad look out there in this world because we have the most cases. I don't know, y'all. We got to get it together. Put your mask on. I'm a mask person. I don't know
Future tried to tell us.
what Future tried to tell us.
Mask on.
Oh, Lord.
Father Future. Prophet Future.
Wow. So did you watch the BET Awards?
I did, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a
I
lot.
liked it.
I enjoyed it a lot.
It was long as hell.
It was long. I thought the same thing.
My favorite was immediately when it came on with PE
That
was
shit
on
was
there.
hard. That shit
And
was hard.
Nas
And YG.
and Black Thought and Rhapsody. YG was on there?
Yeah.
See, I
See, I like, you know what? YG is, if you really think about it, YG is a political rapper. He's like, but he's just coming from an aggressive standpoint, like,
Yeah.
fuck Donald Trump.
I mean, but most
He
Cali
always-
rappers were.
Yeah, they are, like, I like, but he just,
From
his
the
delivery is
NWA
aggressive.
days to now. I mean, Cali,
Yeah.
that's their approach in
Yeah,
hip hop, you know.
yeah.
Ice-T,
Speaking
shout
of
out to
Cali,
Ice-T.
I think Oakland. It is Oakland. They trying to start up their first black NFL team, and you know that's Oakland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a bunch of a bunch of black people that came together, and they sent their bid to to open up the first black NFL team.
Awesome. I love that.
And it's from where the Panthers was at. I think it'll be think it'll be dope.
I saw it. I liked it. I liked the artistry of it. I liked the innovation. They did good considering you couldn't have it the traditional way. But the performances were good. I liked Anderson .Paak's video. I mean, bring back the visual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you know what? Me personally, the only thing that I feel that probably suffered, and I don't think it was a bad thing, but I don't know who won no awards. I don't remember nobody that won the award.
Yeah, I remember.
I know Beyonce had the humanitarian. But
Lizzo, I think, won an award because I remember her thanking everybody. Yeah, well, I don't pay attention to those.
It was insignificant because, a lot of the times when it's live, you kind of look forward to the speeches or, you remember the speeches or whatever. And even though they did the virtual ones, it was just like, man, it was more about the performance.
It was more about the performance and the
BET
vision and the artistry, the visual.
I'm about to say BET, they're not going to get their credit, but they basically showed the world how to do a virtual award show.
Yes.
But they're not going
But
to get
they
the
had
credit
it on
for
CBS.
It's all on the Viacom. That's because they own by that. They own by Viacom.
Oh.
But yeah, that was huge that it was on CBS. Because it's usually on like Nickelodeon and shit.
Is it?
I know. I think
BET and VH1. Was it on Nickelodeon too?
Yeah, that's all Viacom.
Oh. So another thing that was going on last week was Will and Jada. Dr. Dre and his wife announced that they're divorcing. So, she's entitled to half of his money because they live in California. But they were together for 24 years. So, I mean, what are you going to say? You can't say, oh, she wasn't with me in the gym. Yeah, she was. She was. So they raised two wonderful sons, and they're grown now, and she's out. She filed for divorce. I wish her the best. On her second life. Will and Jada have been openly talking about their relationship and their life partnership, and they said divorce is not an option. Will said he's been through a divorce before, and to him that made him feel like a failure. So he said, next time is for life, regardless. Whatever we got to do.
I respect that, though.
Whatever we got to do, we going to do it to keep each other, to keep it together. Their kids are grown, too. Allegedly, August Alsina did an interview with Angela Yee where he said that he was in a relationship with Jada and Will was okay with it. And he said he doesn't know why they're saying that that's not true because he don't have time for lies. The man has been deathly ill to the point where he's had to reconsider a lot of things in his life. And he said he don't want to hold on to this no more. He feels free. He want to talk about it. He was deeply in love with that woman. And her husband was all right.
How do you feel about like the open marriage type?
I wouldn't do it. It's not for me. I understand how people can do it because I understand that people lie and cheat. But I think that for some people, lying and cheating is fulfilling to them. So an open relationship, even though that's what they want, but the thrill in it for them is the lying. You feel me? Like,
what you mean by that? I don't get that.
So
I mean, if it's
you
open,
have
you
the
won't
average.
have to lie.
You have the
live is open, right?
But people like to lie, and as you get older, that's one of the things I want people to realize. Some people like to lie, like they need to lie. Lying is fulfilling to them.
But you're gonna figure that out before that becomes your part. Like that's a part of like.
No, because deception is a part of some people's lives. They like to lie, and some people are not. You don't know that people are like that. You won't realize it. It will take some time for you to pick it up.
I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying like.
So an open relationship, even for it being an open relationship for somebody like that, even that wouldn't work for them because the thrill is in the lying and the cheating. They get something out of the forbidden way of life. Like, oh man, I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm gonna do it because that makes them feel good. If the open relationship would not be fulfilling to them because they'd be like, okay, I can't manipulate this person. Manipulating, lying, and cheating some people thrive off that shit. So it's not for me.
So
Unless I was married to somebody that was a fucking multi-trillion billionaire and I had gotten used to that way of life, there's some things you might have to.
So you feel like when, like in certain cultures, when a man is able to have multiple wives, it's for the fact that he wants to lie and cheat and manipulate?
No, because that's an open relationship.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
Like,
from
that's
the
what I'm
onset
saying.
of the relationship. You know that I am going to have multiple partners. There's no lying. Everything is
That's
open.
what I'm saying. That's why I asked. Like,
But for some people, I'm gonna tell you that it's all about you. But when I feel like it, I'm gonna step out.
that's not an open relationship then.
That's not an open
That's why
relationship.
I'm asking about an
but
open
why wouldn't this
relationship.
person that's doing that just be in an open relationship? Why wouldn't they pursue a person with that in mind?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't know how you got to trying to convince somebody to be in an open relationship. I'm just asking, like, would you be open to that? You said no.
No.
You wouldn't, and I don't think it's a bad thing because
It's just not
if you
for
think
me.
about it, if you think about it, like the only problem, and this is just me, this is just from what I see. The only problem we putting sex on the pedestal. We valuing sex too much because that's really the only thing. Like I'm mad. That's really the only thing I be mad at. That I know my girls get fucked by that nigga. But I feel like when I get older, because I didn't.
Like if sex isn't on the table, that changes the dynamics.
Yeah, because I got friends, like, it's girls I done dated. We didn't work out romantically, but we good, like, you feel me? And it wasn't even like a bad thing with it.
It's just, yeah.
But I feel like, man, I can still say I love this person. I can still call this person. But just romantically, it just wasn't right.
Well, they built an empire together, and
Yeah,
so
they built
it's not
so
worth
much.
it
They got
to.
a family,
What can you
like-
break up for? Like what? Like even with Dr. Dre's wife, and I'm like, what could he have done like to make you want to divorce him after 20 some odd years? I don't know. It could, if it's mental abuse, physical abuse, you gotta leave. Period.
True.
So I don't know what. I haven't seen anything that led me to believe that, but I would assume if that would be for me a deal breaker, regardless of the money, regardless of the time. But for Will and Jada, is once the sex and the physical connection of your relationship dwindles down, then you gotta depend on the loyalty.
At their age, I feel like that's because they 50s? They in the 50s?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you don't have a
Like
sex
you don't
drive
think
at
right?
No, I'm not saying that. But at that point, that's like in my age, especially as a man, we think about sex. I ain't gonna say that's a goal, but
No,
that's just
right.
something.
But that's just something that,
what,
I get it, right.
But once I get to that age, it's just like, man, we didn't connect on a different level. Yeah, we still gonna have sex, but it's like, I'm not that old. So I don't know. But just from what I'm seeing, like,
You would think, yeah. Even as a young person, even if you say you in your 20s, you don't have a strong sex drive. So it's gonna take more to help you want to maintain a relationship or establish a relationship with somebody. It could be mental connection. It could be money. It just depends. You just got to get with somebody that has the same goals and aspirations. And like I said, when that physical connection or when sex, what if the person gets in a car accident? It don't have to be about your sex drive all the time. Like, what if you fall and now your dick don't get hard no more? Well, so we're gonna get divorced?
Exactly.
I love
Yeah,
you.
like-
I respect you. We have this partnership. Like when the sex is off the table, what else is sustaining your relationship? It has to be
Exactly.
something more than that.
And
And
why I
for
said
them,
open
it
relationship, 'cause it's
was.
just like, at the end of the day, you've been in a relationship. I've been in a relationship. It's times where you get into it with this person, like, and it just be. And I think I told a girl this before, like, I told her, like, man, when I get married, I'm not with an open relationship. But if it gets to the point to where we arguing, like, I'm willing to let the girl go her own, just even if it's a few months, maybe even a year, like, go do what you do. Like, if it's real, we gonna come back together. You feel
Period.
me?
Yeah.
It's just like, shit, I ain't gonna allow you to go cheat on me.
Right.
But
Let me know.
I would give you your space, and I would move. We can take a break or whatever, and you can do what you want to do. If you want to go fuck some other niggas, you can go do that. But you're not gonna do it while we together.
Right.
And that's the point I'm at right now in my life. But that can change, like, because you do have those connections with people. And I'm not about to just lose you because you had sex with somebody else. That's a childish mentality, I feel like. Especially if it's everything, like you say, if everything else, like, sex ain't gonna outweigh everything. Like, it's 1 thing to 10. I'm not gonna give up the relationship for one bad thing.
And I think that Jada and Will, I think even from the beginning, I always say, like, I know Jada like young dudes. Like, she like thuggish type, kind of. You know what I mean? Like, because of her relationship with Tupac. I think that when he died, it threw her into a different mental space. Like, I'm never going to have that connection with nobody again. So Will Smith is a great dude. I'm sure she was in love with him. I'm sure they were deeply in love with each other when they got together. And this is somebody that you could potentially spend the rest of your life with. He's just a good dude.
So you feel like Sierra will leave Russ? She gonna eventually leave Russ?
I think because she had her stage though. She had her stage. She had 50 Cent. She had Future. She had Bow Wow. Like, she did all that. You know what I mean? Like,
so you saying Jada didn't get the experience?
She had Future. Like, she got to be in a relationship with Future and see. Russell is a great dude. Like he's somebody that you could spend the rest of your life with. And I understand like, I would never want to hurt this guy, but we need to talk because it's something that I need to fulfill. She said one time in an interview that August Alsina helped her deal with some of the issues that she had lingering from when Pac died. And I think that she needed to go back to that space because sometimes you need to heal from a different.
But with that being said, that means Will's not getting enough credit because
I give him all the credit. That's awesome.
He loves this woman enough to let her be her.
Isn't that wonderful?
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
and that's what I mean.
And that's why we worried about sex. Like, if you got to fulfill that, go. I mean, if that's for him, that's what works for him. It's like, I'm not about to throw everything away. Like, you're a great person. I look like we done built all this. I'm not about to throw this away because of, especially it's an agreement that they made. Like, it's like people upset about an agreement in their relationship.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that
wasn't. Yeah, like that was never the point for me. For me, it was just a different look at a different type of black love. It was just a different. It's just observing what these people did, and I was like, that's awesome.
You know what else? It goes back to even with the marriage situation. People so used to the traditional way of things. It's the traditional way is, following this way to have a relationship. The traditional way is not wearing a mask. People are stuck in those traditional ways. I feel like.
I think so, but this is gonna affect you and your family. This is not for some entertainment. This is for.
No, but I'm saying, like, just the fact that people are commenting on their relationship, how they live in a relationship. Like, even for years they've been talking about them having an open.
Yeah. But now you see what that means.
Like, why is that a problem?
I think that people look at the person they're in a relationship with as a possession. Like, that's mine. Like, you look at it like a trophy. Like, that's mine, and I do what I want to do with that. But that's not healthy. Like, this is an individual person with wants, needs, and desires. Like, to love somebody unconditionally, and that's what I keep saying, like, people throw that word love around so much. It's like, unconditionally means that there is nothing that this person can do. I think the only person that can love unconditionally is God, me personally. But, that's a different story. But I mean, as far as my physical ability as a regular person to love, I don't know if I could, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that because I don't want, and this might sound selfish and it might sound crazy, I don't want you to share that intimacy with anybody else.
I can understand that completely.
And so maybe I need to grow up because I don't want you to. And as a man, I wouldn't want you to more than a woman because as a woman, I'm the host. You come into my body. Like, why would you want me to have somebody else in here where you live at? You know what I mean? Like, you got somebody rearranging the furniture. So when I come back home, it ain't going to be the same. You feel me? I'm just not that person. That's just me. But I'm single, so maybe that's why. Maybe I need to be more open-minded, but I don't see where that's beneficial to me. I don't see where that's beneficial to me. Maybe because, like I said, they have a different lifestyle. They have money. When you take sex.
I mean, because you got swingers, like that.
When you take sex and money off the table, I don't know where my mind would be. I don't know. If you take stability, that's a part of me as a working person. I need to have that. I need you to work too. I need us to both be able to sustain this household. So money, that's off the table for them. They don't have to worry about that. So that puts your mind in a different space. Sex, we got 2 kids, we're grown. When you take all that off the table, I don't know what kind of, I don't know. Who knows? So, we're going to wrap it up, but it was good to talk to you guys. I missed these conversations. These are starting to become my favorite, where before, you know, we have other people, we have hosts, we have guests, but now these are kind of cool. You like it, Jay Black?
I love it. I love it.
And then I don't have to worry about being scared about COVID, because, you know, last time I had my mask on when we was interviewing people. I'm going to have to put my mask on when we interviewing people. And I'm going to have to put my mask on around him, too, because I don't know what's up with this guy back here. These young people, you know, they go into the bars and the clubs. So next week, we have 2 guests. Tamika, and I don't want to mess up her last name, Herbowski Houston. She is running for Atlanta Judicial Circle Court in the 5th District. She's on the ballot for the runoff election August 11th. She advanced from the general election. Also, Mandisha Thomas is going to be here. She's also running for the election. She's running for Georgia House of Representatives to represent District 65. She's also on the ballot for the Democratic primary runoff August 11th. She advanced from the June 9th primary. So if you have any questions for either of these two, if you live in those districts, excuse me, please let us know and get involved in the show next week. All right? Make sure you follow us. We have a Facebook page for all you Facebook people, Connecting the Dots. And we have Instagram, which is where I'm usually at. So follow us, CTD_ATL. And you can follow me on Twitter, because we need a Twitter page for our thing. And we haven't done that yet, but we're going to do it. And we keep saying that. So if you are on Twitter, you can follow me at Kimmy Coco. And I will follow you back. All right? Peace.